Welcome, everyone, to episode 12 of the Golden Squeeze podcast. We are starting to get into our groove, and today we are going to be talking about SmackDown, which had an
Let's do it.
interesting flow to it. They went right into a match, no promos, no filler. It was LA Knight versus AJ Styles in one of two number one contenders matches on the night. They gave them a long time to wrestle for a SmackDown, and
As
that's
they
always good
should.
to see. Yeah, especially when you have talented wrestlers like this, but a lot of times they only get 5 minutes on a weekday
Under
show, so I was glad to see them probably get about 20. I thought they put on a very good match, as you would expect from these two, but Wade, what did you think of this opening segment?
I liked it. I think the right person won because I I I feel like this kind of solidifies my personal belief that they've got bigger things planned in the future for LA Knight on that show or whatever show he's on. I mean, they got the draft coming up, but I think because of his popularity, they had to put him against Roman Reigns at the I believe it was a Crown Jewel, wasn't it? Where
Yeah.
they fought. I think they had to, and that match, I don't know if we've ever discussed it on here, that particular match, but they did not have Roman kick out of BFT. I believe Jimmy threw Roman's foot on the rope to break the count. And so they haven't just completely like fed him or devalued his finisher or anything like that, even against a name like Roman. And I don't think they could have had him lose again in his next one-on-one championship match, because we all know that Cody's not losing his first defense after dethroning.
He's not?
Yeah, exactly. and so but they know AJ is in probably the twilight of his run, by kind of his own admission. I know he said he'd like one more run with the title, but I don't know if that was just more of just, kind of a promo type interview. But I think, if I understood Cody right, I think he said him and AJ have not wrestled. That may be accurate.
I can't remember them stepping in the ring against each other.
And that
So I have to assume it's true.
will be a fantastic match. I am
Should
looking
be.
forward to that, and I think it's a great for, you know, a card like this over in France, for them to be able to see a match like this. And obviously at this stage, with everything he's already accomplished and all the accolades he's received and the championship runs he's had earlier on in his WWE run, that I'm sure AJ Styles is perfectly all right with going over, or having Cody go over, but them just tearing down the house, which is, I would expect nothing else from them. And I was kind of disappointed it wasn't just a straight clean win, but I think that protected LA Knight too. And from it just being straight up 50-50 booking, he got the poke to the eye that the ref didn't see, which led to the phenomenal forearm. And yeah, I mean, it was a good match. I personally didn't like it as much as their Mania match, but it was still very good. That spot that AJ hit was amazing. The moonsault into the Scorpion Death Drop, or the inverted DDT, whatever they called it on the show. But that's exactly what it was. It was a moonsault into a Scorpion Death Drop, and they executed that perfectly. And it was probably my favorite spot by far of the week, and maybe in quite some time, just with how smooth it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was a good spot too. When in terms of the match, I think the result of the match, I think that AJ Styles winning. Well, first of all, these two being involved in the number one contenders match, and then having AJ Styles winning, since we all know that Cody's not going to lose his first match, like you said, who better to have him wrestle against that's still healthy than AJ Styles, because AJ Styles is going to get the most out of him because he's top 3 worker in the company. So if everyone knows that the person Cody is facing is going to lose, then you need to get a guy who's going to put on the best match possible, and that's AJ Styles. Now, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to put on the best match possible. And now the question is there more between LA Knight and AJ Styles, or are they done?
That I don't know. I mean, that's a good question, and I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of unknown until Friday, next Friday, or this coming Friday, when they have night 1 of the draft.
Yeah,
and we may not. And I mean, well, if one of them gets, well, I guess we won't get the full picture until the following Monday's Raw, the second night of draft, to see exactly who ends up where. But I think it depends on that too. I think considering it's 1-to-1 at this point, if they stay on the same show, then no, there's no way. And honestly, since they decided to go the route of having him show up at the house and all that stuff, I could see the blow off to this feud being Hell in a Cell.
And that's exactly what I was about to say. I was going to ask you, when is Hell in a Cell? Because if it's
they don't do it anymore as a standalone pay-per-view, I don't think. Because I know Triple H was definitely of the belief that is something that they're going to steer away from, because instead of a whole event being centered around it, he thinks that particular match should be the culmination of, personal feuds, like long-term feuds, as opposed to just an entire show, like, oh, we'll do this match for it and this match, even though there's maybe not necessarily the animosity and building up to it. So at least I think they're still doing that. I don't think they had one last year. I think the last Hell in a Cell event they had was when Cody tore his pec.
Fought?
Yeah. At least I believe so. I believe that's the one.
You might be right.
I don't think they had that event last year, but if they're on the same show, I think at some point either. No, not Money in the Bank, because I'm thinking one, if not both of them, will be in that match. But maybe SummerSlam, a Hell in a Cell match.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that one, with the caliber of those two, that it'll the end of that feud will be at one of the major PLEs, I believe.
Yeah. And our fact checkers, aka me, just looked it up, and yes, 2022 was the last Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. So guess we're not going to get it there, but I would like to see them end it in Hell in a Cell. I'm of the mindset that LA Knight is going to play a role in the finish between Cody and AJ Styles, probably costing AJ Styles a chance at the title. It's not going to be a clean win.
Turnabout's fair play.
Yeah, by Cody. And then they will get one more opportunity to fight each other, and then that will be the blow-off to this long-running feud. That's what I'm going with.
Well, and also, remember, they were making a point in the build-up to the Mania match, like, I flew all the way to Australia to cost you the opportunity you cost me, and so I flew all the way to France.
All the way to France.
So yeah,
exactly.
I could. Yeah, I mean, it'll kind of be it'd be a shame to me if that happened. Just because. Especially those two like that, two great workers, and Cody and AJ, I prefer them to have a clean finish, and that was my biggest gripe about the first big match with Cena and AJ Styles. It was a great match, and there was no need to have the OC come in that match. And I think they realized that, and the next time they fought, AJ beat him clean, I'm pretty sure, without any interference. And then there was no interference when Cena got the title back. So, but yeah, but I mean, storyline wise, it makes sense. But we'll see. Either way, I am very much looking forward to AJ and Cody. So
yeah. Well, after this, and before we get to the introduction of the new tag team titles, there was a parking lot segment between Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Paul Heyman. At which point in time, Solo introduced Paul Heyman to Tama Tonga, because I'm sure they had never met before. And Solo Sikoa said something where I am thoroughly confused, and I'm hoping that you can shed some insight into me, referring to Tama Tonga as his MFT, and they gave no explanation as to what MFT stood for.
Well,
the internet seems to be split on what MFT stands for. What say you? What do you think MFT stands for?
Well, I've been meaning to ask you this through text or something, asking what in the world that meant, because I had no idea. So I thought maybe we're just old and don't know, but
well, we are old, and we don't know, but I think that people who are young also do not know what MFT means.
I think
there was speculation. I think it was My Family Tree.
Oh, okay. I think it was I was leaning toward My Friend Tama.
Oh, okay. I like that. I guess my biggest issue
is effing Tama. I don't know.
Well, people were saying it was MF Thumb, which I thought was hilarious, but I don't think that it's MF Thumb. Anyways, my issue is that if the first word is my, then he keeps saying my, and that really bothers me even more.
I can tell. I can tell it does.
As a grammarian, my is
grammarian. Oh, those
fancy. I don't know what that
words.
I went to school.
Yeah.
I don't like my, but hopefully at some point in time. And what even pissed me off even more is that then Corey Graves is like, that's his MFT. And I'm like, well, Corey, can you tell us what MFT means? Isn't that what your job is to, like, your only role in this company right now is to explain things like that to me, the viewer, because I don't know what you are saying. But hopefully at some point in time, yeah. Who's? Solos?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As Paul Heyman would say, nice threads.
The only thing missing from that outfit, you know what?
The Don hat. Exactly. If it doesn't fit on your head, it's definitely not going to fit on Solos. I'll tell you that.
Oh. And have you noticed how, and I'm glad they did this, because I remembered some of the speaking segments he had at NXT, and they seemed a lot more natural than the way they had him talk. The very few times he did is the Enforcer of the Bloodline. But now that they had him like speaking like this week, just kind of more regular, like just regular and not sounding so scripted, it's so much better in my opinion. It just sounds so much more natural and just a lot more real. And I think, and to me, it's made me like the character so much more just by letting him be himself. And at least in terms of the way he just has a conversation. And I think that's that's great.
They got to do something to repair him. So he needs to do something. That loser, it's You know what help? You know what help even more?
Yes.
For us to like the character even more?
This hat.
No, winning. He needs to win a match. I don't care who it's against. I don't care if it's against me. He needs to go out there and needs to win a match, and that'll make things better. And then he needs to string together a couple more wins so that he can be believable again. But we'll get to him a little bit more with his next segment. But they introduced the new tag team titles, and man, do those things look good. They look like an old school title. Better than the Raw title, which have the red in it. This is just clean. It's just a clean title. I liked it a lot. What were your thoughts on the title?
I thought they were great. I don't know if you remember. You may have been in Sleepy Land at this point at the last podcast, but I made a comment how I like the Raw ones. They look like clean and nice. Yeah, okay, you do remember that conversation. But yeah, but I even said I liked the look of the old one from the '90s, those tag titles. And then I was like, hey, look, there they are, and
they're listening.
Yes, they are. And I don't know why I didn't notice this or make reference to it before, but the Raw tag titles, that they resemble more of like the major boxing organization belts is what those remind me of, like the shape of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't. I mean, when I saw some of the build up to the fight this past Saturday that ended up being a non-title as the scales worked out that way. But I was like, oh,
Ryan Garcia tipped those scales.
And he tipped Haney's jawline too multiple times. Anyways, we digress. But yeah, and I don't know why I didn't think about that before. I love boxing, but yeah, I think the Raw belts resemble like your major boxing titles, the shape, and these are a throwback to the '90s WWE tag belts or WWF tag belts, and
yeah,
very, very neat. And what did you think of Waller and Theory's interactions with Triple H?
They were good.
Oh yeah,
they were good. Equally as good as the interactions between the Miz and R-Truth the week before. I think it's funny. Triple H just came out there to have those interactions with those people, try to help them get over, and it can only help those two.
No.
Whenever you're in the ring with Triple H, I also liked how Nick Aldis tried to defend Triple H, and how dare you talk to the COO like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what his position is, but no, it's good. It's good. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. And then it went right into the number one contenders match, which consisted of New Catch,
AOP.
Who else was in it? AOP, the Street Profits, and was that it? Was it just three?
You got me second guessing now.
No. And then it was Angel Humberto. So it was four.
Oh, Legado
Humberto Carrillo.
Yeah, Legado del Fantasma. Yep. Okay. Some very good spots in this match.
There were every team had a little bit of something. First, I just want to address, what did you think of seeing AOP in the match? Because I thought that they may have been on NXT going forward, and then now here they are. So are they going to be pulling double duty? Was this the one-off? Was NXT a one-off? What's their role here?
That I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. There was kind of a continuation with some of the odd booking decisions, but that could just be, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with this draft or who's doing what. So maybe it's just to maybe just to get them some more airtime before. I
It
mean,
does.
I don't know. I really
It,
don't have the answer to it.
it
I
does
don't
kind
know.
of have that calm before the storm feel. Just the past week or two with WWE, that they're just trying to limp into the draft and they can really get going. I feel like they have a lot of storylines that are backed up, that are waiting to go, but they got to wait for the draft to make them make sense. Because I'm trying to, I guess, give them some grace in terms of some of the booking decisions that they've made since our tribal chief lost his title, just across the board booking decisions. But we'll see what happens with that. Overall, though, this match was good. Everybody had some really nice spots. There were also some botches in it. Did you happen to see the botch by Tyler Bate as
Yeah.
he toppled over the top rope?
And
For no reason. I don't know how or why that happened. He got a little bit too high trying to get the hot tag.
yeah, I think I see just this momentum carried him forward in this little slipsies. But now there was a spot, and I can't remember who ended up doing the power bomb to him, but it was some move like a tag team move in the corner where they did like some power bomb, I think, type maneuver over in the corner, and it looked like it could have been disastrous for Bate with the way his
Yeah.
neck and the back of his head hit. I was like, holy cow. I mean, it was a cool looking spot, but still, I don't know if
Was it AOP that did it to him, or was it?
I
I
feel
don't remember
like
the
it
spot
may
you're
have
talking about,
been
but
Legado del
they had some.
Fantasma that did it. I think, and I just remember thinking, oh man, that could have been really, really bad. And I don't know if that was a thing. Just these guys are professional, and that's just the way that the move is made to look, or if somebody like somebody didn't do something, or something didn't go quite as planned, and that's why it made it look a little scarier than it was. But I'll have to go back and see exactly who did the maneuver. But I remember thinking, luckily that didn't end horrifically. So
Yeah. Well, Tyler Bate didn't have the only botch. Did you see? So there was a part where somebody was going for a pin. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Angel uh, Garcia that was pinning maybe Angelo Dawkins, and then Montez Ford went up for a frog splash, and he's got the best frog splash in the business. So, but this is the second time in his last two matches that I can remember he overextends himself and he goes too far. So he did a frog splash and he went too far. So he ended up hitting Garcia's legs instead of hitting him square in his back like he should have. And he's just too athletic for his own good, where he just goes too far. So he did the frog splash. He broke up the pin, but there's no way he was supposed to break up the pin by hitting him in the legs. That's just not something that could possibly have been what he was trying to do. But man, I didn't take away from the match. I just bring it up because I thought it was funny. But there were just so many good spots inside this match. A lot of talented guys. You had the spot where Tyler Bate got Akam or Razar on his back. I don't know who's who, but got him on his back and just showed off his strength. That's a much better way to show off your strength than when he got Damian Priest, struggled to lift Damian Priest's slender body. If you can lift Akam or Razar, who are over 300 pounds, you put them on their back and you spin them. That's impressive. Struggling to pretending to struggle to pick up Damian Priest, not so impressive.
And I got to be honest with you though, it's no secret. It seems it's pretty well known how strong Tyler Bate is, and just yes, I know the AOP are each 300-pound men. I get that, but still, I just even seeing him struggle to put 300 pounds in a fireman carry, which a guy that is, seems pretty well known a guy pound for pound. His size is very strong and probably would have no issue doing that for at least getting him up there. I'm not saying he could do the airplane spin for 2 full minutes with a guy that size on him, but still, just the struggle and having to have all the guys come and help him get him up at that one part. I was like, okay, this is a little silly, but
it almost makes it seem like that they're questioning our intelligence because
they do that every week.
Yeah, but but you can't keep saying, "Oh, look how strong he is," and like if you want him to look strong, don't make him struggle because we know how difficult it is to lift a man that big. So if he does it and he does it with ease, we're going to notice that. You don't need to highlight it by making his knees buckle and have him almost tear an ACL lifting him over his head. Just let him do it. We'll know that he did it and then move on. It's fine. But in the end, the Street Profits got the win. Do you think that was the right decision?
Yes.
I agree.
I do. But again, and you asked, are they doing double duty? AOP, if the AOP was doing double duty or what they're doing, and I hope that there's no shenanigans with AOP costing them the titles. If they lose, Theory and Waller are heels. Let them lose in their own heelish ways. I mean, let them win in their own heelish ways. They had a street fight. That's usually, if it's not Hell in a Cell or something like that, that's usually the blow off for the feud. Now, granted, I know they were in this match, but this was a number one contenders. It wasn't a tag team against tag team match. It wasn't your standard match. So I'm hoping there's no AOP interference in the match with whatever happens. But again, it's one of those things. I don't know what they're going to do. If the tag titles are going to bounce around, or if they're going to keep them on the heels for a while, or if, depending on, and I question some of the things they're doing, like, because this event happens after the draft. And so it's almost like, okay, if Street Profits get drafted to Raw and Waller and Theory are staying on SmackDown, common sense would tell you that, okay, well, the Street Profits, they've already said, are going to Raw, and they made it a point to have a separate set of titles for each show. So again, just stuff like that. I just don't know why they wouldn't have the draft after that event.
Yeah.
I mean, because
I'm sure that we'll get some questions answered here eventually. But I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. But
I hope AOP doesn't interfere. All that to say that I hope AOP doesn't interfere. And I think the Profits deserve a run, but the Waller and Theory are a great heel duo, and I just don't know if they're going to take the titles off of them the first event without making a defense, but I guess we shall see.
Yeah. Yeah, and then after the match, we got Sikoa, Heyman, and Tama Tonga again in the ring. And at this point in time, Solo got a little bit more mic time to further this storyline, and all of a sudden you see Tama Tonga drag Kevin Owens out, and Kevin Owens has an absurd amount of blood on him, which I'm sure Fox is okay with, but if they did that on USA, I'm sure they would have been having a fit. But he came out and they beat him up a little bit, and I had an issue with portions of this segment. My first issue is that Tama Tonga gets in the ring, and Kevin Owens, I was fine with him being a sacrificial lamb, just getting beat up and whatever. But then you got to sell the brutal attack a little bit more. Why did they have him just get up and then just start beating up Tama Tonga?
Because Kevin
Like,
Owens never quits. That's why.
sure, it's fine. He's a prize fighter. There was no prize here. He should have just quit. But anyways, he drags him out of the ring and then gets in a lot of offense, like, or at least some offense. But what are we doing? Like, why is he okay, miraculously okay seconds later? Enough so where he's standing and beating up Tama Tonga. I didn't like that.
Because
I didn't like that.
he's friends with Sami Zayn and he hulked up like Sami did against Gunther.
So you're telling me that he got similar training that Chad Gable gave Sammy. Sammy gave to Kevin Owens and had a hook up. Okay, that makes sense. Corey Graves should have explained that to me, like he should have explained what MFT stands for, but nobody did. No one's explaining things to old Joshua, and therefore I don't know exactly what's going on. But I did not like that. Did not like that. Then all of a sudden there's a car crash that's involved, and I see airbags deployed, and Paul Heyman saying, I didn't authorize this. I didn't authorize this. It just got a little weird. Fast. It got
Silly.
weird, and they got weird fast. Yeah. But we'll see where they're going with this. I need my tribal chief back. Restoring order, because there's just no order right now. We're living in a lawless society with blood and car crashes and Kevin Owens and Tama Tonga and MFTs.
He's not coming back, man. He ain't coming back.
He's coming back. He's coming back. I don't know when, I don't know where, but he's coming back.
In a bit of live breaking news, somebody has questioned you calling Seth Rollins the inaugural champ. Apparently they didn't realize you meant the inaugural NXT champion, but they thought it was so fun.
Finn Balor was the inaugural Universal champion, and Seth Rollins was the inaugural NXT champion.
Because that's what you said on there, right? That
I'm certain I did.
Okay, well, the particular person who commented thought it was so hilarious that you were wrong. In his opinion, he put the skull emoji on there. So I just wanted to share that in the middle of the
on Instagram or on TikTok?
Instagram. Oh man,
these people trying to question.
Yeah, he commented, Seth's not the inaugural champ. Skull emoji.
Oh, I'm going to message him back. Yes, he was. Double skull emoji.
Oh man, I just had to share that.
Well, thank you. Even when you're not famous like us, people still want to hate on the internet just for no reason. And then the best part is that they're keyboard warriors who can be loud wrong with no repercussions. But I am going to come back at him when we're done with this podcast. Yeah, he will regret. He will rue the day that he ever.
I thought I
commented.
I thought I politely handled the individual who was questioning the Dolph Ziggler thing and this and that, and
well, people don't listen because I didn't say anything about what title. I just said multiple titles,
and I politely put that in there. And as far as I could tell, there was not a follow-up comment, but I
of course there wasn't. He can't see past all the egg on his face.
This is fun. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But then we went into
skull emoji.
He might get triple. But going back to SmackDown, we got Carlito versus Santos Escobar. I just think it's funny that Carlito is just here. Just his existence back in wrestling, which don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with it, but I just think that it's funny that out of nowhere they just brought back Carlito after like 15 years of not wrestling. And I'm sure I'm exaggerating how long it was that he did not wrestle in WWE, but Carlito versus Santos Escobar, and Escobar defeated Carlito in this match. This is a storyline. This whole thing just keeps going. So we'll see how long it goes for. There has to be an end game, but at the same time, I don't think that there is one.
No, and that's the thing.
I keep going.
But they made it a point multiple times on commentary to talk about Carlito's frustration and, not having, how long he's been back and like hasn't really sniffed a championship, and he had
Should he?
plenty. Well, storyline wise, apparently so I don't know though if that frustration is going to lead to him leaving the company again or switching sides, which I don't know how that would necessarily make sense
Mm-hmm.
unless they do the old, he thinks LWO is a sinking ship and he jumps to Legado del Fantasma or what. But I agree. It's got to come to a head at some point, and I hope it does sooner rather than later. I think all involved need to move on to something else, and but I just don't know when that's going to be. But I mean, overall, I didn't have a problem with the match. I know I know he got a pinfall win, but I can't remember what was there like a heel tactic by or something with did Elektra interfere? I know that her and um oh geez. Zelina got into it a little bit outside, but I can't remember if there were some
Clean.
underhanded tactics at the end, like a
It was
distraction or
clean.
so. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Well,
No, it was a clean, short match. Escobar beating up Carlito. Not much to write home about. So
yeah.
we're not going to.
Well, I did like Elektra's San Antonio Spurs inspired color schemed outfit
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, and unlike the Spurs, her counterpart got the win. So
Hey, they win where it matters, and
there you go. There you go.
and Stephen A. Smith made a Tim Duncan reference yesterday, and that just brought joy to my life. So,
It shouldn't, but
no,
okay.
you,
Stephen A. Smith doing anything should not bring joy to your heart.
you stop that. You stop that. That's blasphemous. It's blasphemous.
Oh, my favorite Stephen A. is when he goes, "The damn Washington Wizards." As a Wizards fan, I enjoy that. And then the last match of the night, and I questioned some of the match placement, but well, I guess not. I guess this is for the title, so never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. I forgot this is for the title, so this is fine. I was going to say the number one contenders match should have been last, but then I forgot this is for the title.
In your misogynistic ways again.
I know. But if there was ever going to be someone that was going to lose a match, it was going to be Naomi in this match. But because there was not a chance on. Well, I guess this was a no contest. Actually, there wasn't actually even a winner.
Yeah, they protected Naomi. Because
yeah, but she was never going to win the title on a SmackDown. This never was going to happen.
No, absolutely not. This wasn't some called audible like some of the other things they had to do at WrestleMania. Bailey winning was in the works for quite some time, and they weren't going to. She's not losing that title on an episode of SmackDown unless it's like some milestone episode or something.
No,
so.
Especially not 2 weeks post
Yeah,
WrestleMania.
exactly.
It just wasn't going to happen. But I have issues with some of the things that happened in this presentation as well. I'm going to start with why are Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair in a box right next to Damage Control? Like, why?
Because that feud's not over, and they want to make sure that you know that because they're about to go against the Kabuki Warriors for the gold.
That's fine, but why are they sitting next to each other? I just don't understand that. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Because they wanted to show Dakota Kai getting frustrated, and I love Dakota Kai, so that was okay.
Well, they should have put a camera on me because then they could have had one more person getting frustrated because I don't understand why they were in a box just next to each other. And I mean, even if you're going to do that, like Jade Cargill and Bianca were sitting on like the leftmost of the box, whereas the other were sitting like on the rightmost of the box. Like if we're talking about a feud, that's why you're next to each other. Sit closer to each other so we can get like a little, kerfuffle between everybody. But uh, yeah, it is what it is. I am glad that they didn't have Naomi lose clean. I wonder though if one of the
Hiffy time.
yeah, I wonder if them being in the main event, and we'll get to Tiffy in a second, was that there was some sort of agreement when she re-signed, like, hey, we'll put you in the main event of the SmackDown if you come back. It just seemed odd. But this is only to.
I have a hard time believing of all that has to be the worst agent in the history of, hey, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to get you the main event of SmackDown.
I'm of the mindset that these wrestlers don't have agents, and Naomi's her own agent. And she just said, put me in the main event of something, anything, and I'll come back. Because I don't think she ever wanted to leave in the first place. I think she was just showing solidarity with the CEO, who good riddance, because I don't even watch AEW, and I'm already tired of this CEO stuff. But
if she did that showing solidarity and she truly didn't want to, well, I mean, that's on her. I mean,
yeah.
But I think it's very possible though that especially at that time, there definitely could have just been mounting creative frustration, and again, I don't even know if the whole scope of exactly how that went down has come to light or if we'll ever know it. But again, if you just walk out, I'm like, call me old school or whatever, but I think there's better ways to handle that, and given a proper notice and all that stuff, and that's just my thoughts on it. I remember and remember Lex Luger spoke publicly about that when he ended up showing up at WCW. But I think that infamously was one of those things where his contract ran out and nobody realized it. But
I feel like that happens a lot in wrestling. Like people just not paying attention to these things. They have a calendar or like an Excel spreadsheet of this. Here's this guy, and here's when his contract ends.
Oh yeah.
Set a little tickler to remind yourself a day before that his contract is ending.
But even so, he said that he was kind of uncomfortable with that when he was like, "Hey, we want you to come show up here." He's like, "Well, I think the mindset you should give a notice and all this." But I mean, hey, and again, I don't know. I don't know if the full story about how that went down happened, but if they just walked out, I don't. Regardless of who it is, what step on the pyramid they are, I don't agree with just walking out like that. But
yeah, Naomi definitely had a "what have you done for me lately" mentality. She must have forgotten that they made her a focal point of a television show for years in Total Divas, because she was all over that show, and they trusted her enough to be on there. She should have just sucked it up and done whatever, because I'm not seeing any difference in her booking now than before she walked out, so I don't know what good it got her.
Well, no, but
I mean, other than this main event.
But I do think with that was another case of, okay, I think they kind of had a vision more long term, and she just came back within the past couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
And Gray, I know that could be like, hey, what are they doing? Because I've thought that too. It's like, golly, they're booking her like this, and they brought her back, especially after the way this went down. I'm surprised she came back if she's going to be booked like this. But I think that could be a case of, hey, we know how talented you are. Just, we're focusing on more longer term stuff now in this regime. Just be patient with us. And we'll see what happens. But a whole Tiffy time came, and And I think I may agree that may be the prettiest moonsault because she always makes it look perfect and just so effortless. It helps when you're a gymnast too, I guess. But
Yeah. Yeah, it does it does look good. She's talented. I did not expect her to interfere in that match though. Maybe I should have seen
yeah,
it coming,
I
but I didn't. I didn't see it coming.
I really didn't either. But then it's like hindsight's 2020. But it's like, oh, they've been doing vignettes about her, and she hasn't even made any backstage appearance at the show yet, even to
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
to mock somebody or something. And but yeah, um,
So Tiffy versus Bailey is what we're ultimately going to get.
no, we're about to get a triple threat first. Triple threat first is happening.
No, I'm saying ultimately though, like in the end, we're going to get Tiffy versus Bailey, and they're going to put the strap on Tiffy.
Well, no,
It's Tiffy's time.
I think what's going to happen, Bailey's going to win the triple threat. And I said this, I think in one of our, whenever the first time we brought up Money in the Bank, Tiffy is winning Money in the Bank. You can go ahead and pencil that in. And then she will
Pencil that in.
Yes.
Pencil it in.
Yes. She is winning the women's Money in the Bank. And
just like Big E coming back, we're penciling it in. Just
oh, okay.
what was the other one? Oh, I can't remember.
Stone Cold coming out.
Well, just like Stone Cold coming out, we're penciling it in. But you know what? Just like Damian Priest cashing in on Gunther, we are penciling it in on the long list. I'm going to make a running list. I'm going to post it of awful predictions by the Golden Squeeze.
This is
we haven't gotten one right yet.
This is the new and improved post Mania. Pencil it in though.
This is the one. This is the one.
Tiffy time is winning. Tiffy time is winning Money in the Bank.
Where is my permanent marker?
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
Sharpieing it in.
Go ahead.
I'm sharpieing it in.
Now the men's briefcase, I don't have a gut feeling yet about that, but I'm telling you, in terms of character arc, Tiffany Stratton is she makes the most sense by far to me to hold the briefcase.
LA Knight's getting the briefcase.
Dude, I think it's always better, man, when a heel has it though. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
It might be right,
but
LA Knight's getting the briefcase.
I think you should have got it last time, but
he's getting it this time.
But
it's time.
Again, storyline stuff and heel versus face, I think it definitely makes more sense for a heel to have it. But I think the days of the person who has no business holding it and doesn't need it, like the days of a talent and popularity level person like Cena winning it, I think those days are over. And when I say popularity, like somebody who has already benefited from championship runs and all that was, I still can't believe that happened.
Well, let me tell you this.
Or remember when Brock got it and wasn't even in the match?
that was the wildest one ever. He wasn't even in the match, and no one said anything. It was just oh, okay, Brock can win it if he wants to. It doesn't matter if he's in the match. But here's what's going to happen, because I've already gotten the script.
Do you now?
I did. Larry Knight has called me up.
We are up to 500 Instagram followers now, so I guess you have that kind of clout.
Here we go. We're about to go down to 400 after I give this prediction. Yes, so what's going to happen is LA Knight is winning the Money in the Bank briefcase in the same night Mr. Transitional Champ himself, the bisexual Undertaker, is going to get cashed in on by LA Knight. He will have the briefcase for 1 hour. He's going to cash in and he's going to win the World Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank via cash in. You can put it on the board. Yes, that is a lock. Lock of the century. Throw away the key.
Who I would personally love to see win the briefcase, but I know they won't do it, at least not right now.
Harvey Whippleman.
Well, no, Hornswoggle, but no, Dom.
They would never do that.
I know, but could you imagine that arena if he got that briefcase?
That actually reminded me of something. Thank you for bringing up Dom, because the booing and the heat that Solo was getting when he was trying to talk on the mic was absolutely Dom-esque. And I had totally forgotten to bring this up until you just mentioned Dom. But he was having to scream on that mic just to get words out because the crowd would not let him talk.
Well, when you paralyze one of the Usos, even though one of them's a heel right now, that the fans do not like that.
Yeet.
You just yeet yourself like McAfee did.
Yeah. So yeah. All in all, the Raw was, even though there was a lot of events, it was non-eventful, in my opinion. We did get number one contenders out of whoever's in the first match.
You mean SmackDown?
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Yeah.
All right, yeah. Quick recap. We got AJ, number one contender.
Hang on. So, yeah. Even though I'm starting it over, and so I can edit out my mistake. So yeah, even though it was non-eventful, there were a lot of events that happened on SmackDown. We got AJ Styles being the number one contender to Cody Rhodes' title. We got the Street Profits being the number one contenders to A-Town Down Under's title. We got introduced, or at least Paul Heyman got introduced to Tama Tonga. We got the entire IWC wondering what the heck MFT stands for, and no one telling us. And we got Tiffy Time inserting herself in the women's title picture. So there was a lot going on, but at the same time, there was nothing going on. I'm giving this SmackDown a C+. A C+ SmackDown. Actually, I'm giving it 6 out of 10 golden squeezes. That's what I'm doing. I'm not giving grades. 6 out of 10 squeezes.
Something's up with the sound.
What say you?
I couldn't hear you for a second, and then when it came back, there was like a delay.
Yeah, and your lips are not syncing up with your words.
Okay,
now.
You're back to normal now.
Speak again. You are not. So let's wait a second for it to come back, and we can start that whole outro over for the third time.
Tiffy time.
All right, talk again.
Awesome. Anyway, let's try to refrain from talking about Tiffy and inserting and.
We don't need Wade eating on himself to end the podcast. Oh, I got yeet over myself. Oh, whatever that is. I'm still waiting for some Gen Zer to explain to me what this yeet means.
All right.
Hang on. Talk again. No, we're back. We're back to it not syncing. Let's give it a second. Talk again. Now stop doing it. I think we're good. I'm not editing in a hat. Take that. All right, here we go. Well, for a non-eventful SmackDown, there was a lot of events that went on. We got the number one contender for Cody's title and AJ Styles. We got the number one contender for A-Town Down Under's titles in the Street Profits. And we got Tiffy Time inserting herself in the women's title picture. All in all, I'm going to go ahead and give this 6 golden squeezes out of 10. It's time to it's time to get the Golden Squeeze rating prominent in our podcast. I'm giving it 6 squeezes out of 10. That's a
Oh boy.
60% right there.
Well,
Ooh,
what
yeah.
say me is
What are you
the
giving it?
viewers,
What say
the
you?
subscribers we've gained on YouTube are now gone after that squeeze. But oh boy. I'll go. I'll get.
Oh, I eat it. Give your grades, Wade.
Oh man. Okay.
Be
All right.
professional, Wade.
Give this week's SmackDown 7 squeezes. Like the matches. Again, I understand AJ's a heel right now, doing whatever it takes to win, get back in the title picture. Would have preferred a clean victory, but old school, thumb to the eye, nothing too egregious, especially by heel standards. That was fine. Great fatal 4-way for the or whatever they call it when you got to tag in for the tag team number 1 contenders. I think the right team went over. Good stuff with the whole bloodline angle. I agree. The Kevin Owens being able to fight back, didn't really like that, but they got the point across, and I like that Solo sounds more natural on the mic again. And see the Carlito match was fine. I just that feud needs to stop. I think sooner rather than later. They need to progress it somehow, but they gave enough hints of progressing it, and because they made it a point to talk about Carlito being frustrated. So I think something's going to happen there. And I agree with you. We all knew Naomi was not going to win. But I'm glad they protected her. They didn't have her take a clean pinfall loss. And I love seeing Tiffy time on there, and your future Money in the Bank briefcase recipient interfered, and I'm sure that's set up for a triple threat sooner rather than later. But yeah.
Okay. I like the predictions. And if you liked what you heard today, go ahead and hit that bell icon, like and subscribe to the Golden Squeeze podcast, and we will see you when we see you. Good night.